And welcome today to today's live stream. Super exciting. Everyone is here early in the chat. We're just having a lot of fun chatting it up. So welcome. Let me know if you haven't yet where you're from, what the weather's like where you're at. I know a lot of people are still dealing with crazy snow, ice in places that usually don't get cold snow and ice. So I think, was it my backyard was saying in the chat earlier, in Canada, that it's been like -40 there for the past couple of weeks. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. I just can't believe that. I don't even know what I would do in that kind of weather. I actually grew up in Colorado, but we didn't often get below zero. So I don't think I've ever been in below weather that's -40 degrees. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. So I see Cliff is here from Idaho, 1 foot of snow on the ground. Oh my goodness. Santa Ana Road Wildman is joining us from Central California. I'm so glad that you're able to make it here today. Corey's Garden, growing Black Russian Cherry and Rapunzel for the first time. Wow, that sounds pretty cool. I've never grown either of those varieties. I think Rod said he was growing some purple tree collards. That's pretty cool. So collards are really great, healthy superfood. So I'm really glad that you guys are joining me today. Today we're going to run through some Q&A on seed starting. So I titled the live stream, Ask Me Anything About Seed Starting. And I did pull some questions that I get asked quite a bit from the comments from the weekend video. So if you guys missed the weekend video, we posted it early yesterday morning. Was on how to start seeds for your spring garden and 6 mistakes to avoid. So there's a lot of interest in spring gardening right now. I think you guys are all getting spring fever. Hi, Jim, in town gardening. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Pat Sella from Arizona. So anyway, thanks so much for all your comments on that video. So much excitement around spring garden. And I have to start the live stream off by apologizing. We launched the Spring Garden series, and for some odd reason, our website glitched on us. And if you were over there trying to order the Spring Garden seeds, a lot of you emailed me and said you couldn't order them. I so apologize. We had a little problem on our website, but it is fixed now. So head over to CaliKimGardenandHome.com and grow along in the Spring Garden series with me by picking up one of my Spring Garden seed collections. So there's 12 varieties in here, making it really easy for you to get started, so you don't have to wonder what seeds to buy. It's all right there in one handy little collection. So we started those seeds yesterday on the video, so it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to jump right in here, guys. Oh, and before we get too far in, I wanted to announce that I'm taking a little break next Monday for the President's Day holiday. So we'll not be live streaming next Monday on the 18th. It's President's Day here in the US. But we will be back in 2 weeks. I'm not sure what that date is, but in 2 weeks from today at noon Pacific time, we'll be right back here live streaming. So make sure that you join me then. Okay, guys, so what I wanted to do to start off with is announce our viewer of the week. And I'm so excited to announce this person because he's been watching our channel for years, become a good friend on YouTube, and is always so helpful with his advice, his comments, and even emailing me a couple of times to help me out with a couple of projects here in my backyard. So my viewer of the week this week, and I know he's online here, I just saw his comment roll by, is Cliff Warren. Hi Cliff, how are you doing out there? He's from Idaho, and he just mentioned there's about 1 foot of snow on the ground. And let me read you the comment he left yesterday. He's always trying to help people with their gardening, so I love this comment. Cliff says, hi Kim, your tips are spot on as always. I have an apology, or not an apology, I have an analogy that I tell people when they ask me how to start their own seeds. I say, and I love this, nurture twice daily at least. If they seem confused at that, I say, well, if you had a newborn baby, you wouldn't just put it in a corner and come back in 3 days to see how it's doing. Your plants need daily attention. Twice daily just to check on moisture, too close or too far away from the light, etc. So Cliff, I absolutely love that analogy. I mean, a lot of us do check on our seedlings a couple of times a day like they're babies. So I absolutely love that. Always check on them to see how they're doing, if they need water, if they need light. And Cliff, that's absolutely wonderful advice. And I love how, being the seasoned gardener that you are, you're always out there trying to help people and give tips and encouraging new gardeners in their growing of vegetables. So make sure you guys check him out on Instagram. I think, oh gosh, Cliff, I'm so sorry, I don't know your Instagram. Is it Cliff Warren? And I know he's also on Facebook. And he grows some amazing giant vegetables. I mean, you guys have got to see the pictures of his incredible pumpkins, I believe, and all kinds of stuff. So make sure you check him out on Facebook and also on Instagram. So Cliff, thank you so much for all your support. Really appreciate it. And I think he's also growing my seeds in his garden as well. He ordered some a few weeks ago. So, okay, guys, I don't know either. He doesn't know his Instagram either, but search for him, guys. I'm sure that you will find him on Facebook or Instagram. If I find it and I remember, I'll try and post that in the video description below as soon as this video uploads to YouTube. Okay, guys, I can't wait to get to all of your questions. I'm going to read one that came in on the weekend video, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so question number 1 is, this came in on yesterday's video. Hey, Kim, this is from Rigo Barron. I started my tomatoes indoors in peat pellets the same day you posted the salsa garden video, which was about 2 weeks ago, and mine haven't sprouted. I water them and bring them out every day to get the sun because I don't have a grow light, and bring them back in for the night. Any idea why they haven't sprouted? Okay. Now, the great thing I love about this is someone else jumped in and answered this person's question, which I think is wonderful. It's the great thing about this community here. I absolutely love you guys. I love this community because everyone is just trying to work together as a team to help each other out and grow their own food. So the person who posted the answer, I didn't even have to answer it, was Bruce Red. So Bruce, I don't know if you're on here, if you're watching the replay later, thank you so much for jumping in. And Bruce was so encouraging, and he said, I've been starting seeds indoors for a couple of years now and have a couple of thoughts. First, don't worry if your seeds fail to germinate. And that is one thing I can just encourage you guys, is don't worry about it. Don't give up. Remember, we talked about that in the video over the weekend as mistake number 6, giving up too early. So don't give up. Keep on trying. Soil temperature is very important to the seeds. It should be in about the mid-70s for the seeds to germinate. Tomatoes are a tender, warm season crop. To survive outside, they won't germinate until the soil is warm. So keep them indoors until they germinate. Light becomes important as soon as they germinate. And then he went on to talk about how easy it is to get some grow lights set up and super inexpensive to do that. So I would definitely recommend, if you're having trouble with any of your warm weather vegetables germinating, to definitely keep them inside. Or you can even put them on a heat mat, as I showed in the video, in yesterday's video, to just help move them along a little bit. They don't absolutely need a heat mat to germinate, aside from peppers and eggplant, but tomatoes will be helped along with a heat mat. So like outside right now, it's 50 degrees. That's why I'm wearing my coat. I know I'm a SoCal wimp when it comes to the weather, but the tomatoes really need the warm soil. So let me just show you the ones from the salsa collection that we planted 2 weeks ago. These have been inside under my heat mat. I've had them under a grow light, and they sprouted, I think, in about maybe 4 or 5 days, and they're growing absolutely beautifully. So if you're scared of grow lights, go and check out the grow light video because they're really super simple to get set up. You can pretty much set one up for about $15 or $20, a very simple one. And it's really the best way to get your seedlings off to a good start so they don't get leggy and they get nice and healthy and strong. And that way in about 6 weeks after you start them, as long as the weather's warm enough, you can get them planted out in your garden. So thanks so much to Rigo and to Bruce for answering his question. Really appreciate it. And let me see what kind of questions are in the chat here. Guys, the chat is flying by today. It's a lot of fun to see so many people interested in spring gardening. I have a question here from Sherry Tapscott. Hi Sherry, how are you today? Thanks for joining me. Question is, do you recommend cinnamon for mold on peat pots? Ugh. Yeah, that mold is kind of a pain. You can definitely sprinkle some cinnamon on top of your peat pellets to help with mold. I don't worry too much about mold because unless it's super bad, it doesn't really seem to affect the growth of the plants, the mold or the algae. You can certainly sprinkle cinnamon on the top. You can also use spray everything down with neem oil as you're planting. And you can also make sure that you're not over watering. So that's one thing we'll be talking about in the next couple of weeks on a video is how to make sure you're not over watering, how to tell if your plants need water. For example, these pellets here, see how the top of the soil, it's just starting to turn a little bit light brown. You really want to let your pellets dry out just a little bit more than this so that they look like the original color, like they look like a light brown color. You don't want to overwater them and really saturate them and soak them down, because that's when mold is going to grow. You might also want to put a little fan nearby to just kind of help circulate the air. So maybe that'll help you out. Okay, let's see here. Oh, good. Sherry, you already have that fan going. That's wonderful. All right, question from Gareth. Should you direct sow corn in the ground or start the seeds indoors and then transplant them outside? I actually have only grown corn a couple of times. I'm not a big expert on corn, so maybe if some of you have grown it a lot, you can jump in here. But I've had the most success just planting it right in the ground. So it's a little bit temperamental to transplant, but I'm sure it can be done. It just might not be quite as productive. But you know what? Just go for it. What I always say is have backups, like plant some in the ground, have some going in the house in some peat pellets or little containers. It probably might be better to start off with in a little container like this, because it does grow super fast. Okay, question here from Julie. Are chances of succeeding seedlings better in pellets rather than in soil? Okay, Julie, I'm really glad you asked this question, because it's really all about what works best for you. I like to try both. The pellets are just super convenient. These are lettuce and onion little pellets. Well, they're not seedlings yet, but we planted them on Saturday, and it's just so convenient. You don't have to, get a lot of soil out and mess things up in your house. So it's a great way to grow. And also the cups with soil are wonderful for the larger size vegetables. This is a sugar and snap pea and another sugar and snap pea. And it grows super fast, so I don't like to put the peas in the pellets. I like to try them in little cups with soil. And this is probably the least expensive way to grow, because you can just pick up some of these cups for free at your local garden center. A lot of times they have big racks where they're giving away small little nursery cups, or you can grab these on Amazon and pick up some soil and you're good to go. So it really just depends on what you like to do, or you can try a combination of both. Okay, let's see here. Outdoor A. When should I start zucchini and squash? Okay, zucchini and squash are both, or zucchini, squash, and other types of squash are both warm weather vegetables, and they also grow very fast. They do great in the cups with soil or in the larger size peat pellets. I like to start mine about 3 to 4 weeks before the weather's going to be warm enough to put them outside. You want to make sure that your soil temperature again is warm, around 65 to 75 degrees. And if you're getting a frost though, don't put them outside, because they're just going to die. So a couple of weeks growing in the house, and then about a week to harden them off and get them in the garden, and you should be good to go. All right, before we go back into the chat here, I'm going to jump back into another question that we got from the weekend video and see if I can answer some questions here. Let's see, this one is from Isabella. So Isabella, here's your question, here's your answer. Thank you for the information. I bought some rock wool and 2 varieties of lettuce seeds. It's very cold here in Alberta, Canada right now, so I will put them in my windowsill with a grow light. Do I need to cover them? Okay, now I've never grown in rock wool before. I know a lot of you do like the hydroponics and everything, which is great, a great way to grow. But I do grow lettuce in my windowsill in soil, and I know it's a totally different climate here, obviously in Southern California. But they just grow like this right on my kitchen windowsill. They don't even have a lot of direct light. I wouldn't say that you need to cover them unless your house is like super cold. You might want to cover them just a little bit until the seeds germinate. Maybe just put like a little piece of plastic kind of loosely over it just to keep some of the heat in. But as soon as they germinate, especially if you have a grow light, and you should be just fine. So lettuce survives a frost. It's a cold weather vegetable. So it's going to do just fine in your windowsill, and no need to cover it as it's growing. Okay, and what I want to mention is you can check out the How to Grow Lettuce Indoors video for some more tips on that, on how to grow lettuce inside. And then I also do have a lettuce seed collection if you're interested in picking up some seeds so you can grow yourself a little indoor lettuce garden. Because I know a lot of you are really itching to get your spring garden started, and growing something inside is a really good way to kind of bridge that gap between now when it's still kind of cold, not quite warm enough to get outside, and you'll really like having something growing right on your windowsill. Okay, so back into the chat. The questions are flying by. I can see that everyone is so excited to get their spring garden started. Question here from Kathleen. How have you started your strawberries from seeds or transplants? How do you suggest starting during this harsh winter on the East Coast? Great question. Okay, I have never started strawberries from seed. From what I understand, it's really hard to grow them from seed. And I like to just go down to the garden center and pick up some transplants. Every year I usually pick up a few 6-packs of transplants. It's a super easy way to get started and pretty inexpensive. They're usually about maybe $2.50 to $3.50 where we live here for a 6-pack of strawberries. You can also get the bare root plants. Those are really inexpensive, but I just don't quite have the patience to do that. And I haven't ever really had a lot of luck with bare root strawberries. So what you might want to do is just grab yourself some 6-packs as soon as they're available at your garden center and just put some in containers in your house. I grow them in the strawberry crate towers. You've probably seen those maybe on my YouTube channel, but they would grow really well in a little fabric container like this because it's very breathable and it'll drain really well. The strawberries really like that good drainage. You can pick these up on my website, by the way, the 5-gallon smart pots, and give that a go and see if that helps. And then as soon as the weather warms up, you can go ahead and bring them outside. Now the strawberries, I just saw a question here from Mary. I ordered bare root strawberries. Do they like cool weather? The strawberries produce best between, I want to say, around 60 to 85 degrees. They will survive cold weather, but they won't be productive in the cold weather. And there are lots of different varieties of strawberries you can plant so that you can have a crop year-round, because different types produce at different times of the year. So if you're wondering about that, you just search my channel for strawberries and I'll pull up a whole playlist where there's lots of different varieties, lots of different information on how to grow strawberries. But they're so much fun to grow. We absolutely love having our strawberries growing here in our own backyard. Okay, oh Nisha, here is a great question. I saw your question earlier. What is the best time to transplant cilantro? Okay, great question. Mine's just started sprouting, and do I have to do the hardening process? Okay, yes, you do have to do the hardening process. I actually have some that have just sprouted as well. So if you guys were following along with the salsa garden video, we started a few weeks ago. These are all seeds. These are seeds from the salsa garden collection. Cilantro and then onions in the back. And I just showed you already the tomatoes and peppers. So they do really well starting here in these little peat pellets. And you can see these are maybe about 1 inch or so tall, and I'm gonna wait till they have developed about 3 or 4 sets of the true leaves. So for example, the true leaves, here's some true leaves, are right here, which they actually look like a cilantro leaf. The first leaves that come out are the little baby leaves. So once they have a couple inches tall and have a few sets of these true leaves, you can transplant them, but you do need to harden them off. What I did actually is I transplanted a small little container like this of cilantro into this little Smart Pots 1-gallon container. And then I'm hardening this off. These are super handy because they have this little split side here, so it makes it really easy to transplant. So you can pick these up over at smartpots.com, really, really handy. And that way you can get your cilantro outside. Now cilantro is a cool weather vegetable, so it's gonna do better growing in the early months of spring. Okay, let me get back over to my, my most asked questions from the weekend video so we can answer another question about seed starting. Okay, here is a question from Irene. Oh, we kind of just answered this one. But she planted spring seeds 2 days ago. Irene Moffat, I think she's on here today too. Except cucumbers and zucchinis. Should I wait 2 weeks before my last frost day to grow them since they germinate quickly? Okay, Irene, thank you so much for your question. I'm getting that question a lot, obviously. So again, start your cucumber and squash seeds inside about 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost date, and allow 1 week for hardening off and then maybe a week for the soil to kind of get warmed up. Outside before you plant them outdoors. So you don't want to plant your seeds outside or your seedlings outside while the soil temperature is still cold. for your warm weather vegetables. So one thing you can do to help warm up your soil temperature is throw down a piece of black plastic, a couple black plastic trash bags, and that way the sun will help kind of solarize the area underneath your where you're going to plant. Okay, let's see. If you guys could pop your questions in the chat here about seed starting, since we're really focusing on seed starting today, and I'll try and get to as many as I can. So here's one from Lucienne. I'm in New York. Should I wait to start basil? I'm starting thyme, oregano, sage, and parsley this week. Okay, Lucienne, it's probably going to be a little while before your last frost date, but of course you always want to check your last frost date. And you can do that over at almanac.com. I'll put a link in the video description. You can type in your zip code, see when your frost date is, and then you can plant your basil about 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. So the other herbs that you mentioned, I think it was thyme and sage, they take a little bit longer to germinate, so you want to get those started maybe even 6 to 10 weeks. But for the basil, it grows very quickly, and then that way when your soil is warm outside, it'll be ready to plant out. You can also grow some in your windowsill though, so even if you plant it now and it gets a little bit big, you can go, stick some in a little container like this, put it on your windowsill, and it's going to do just fine. Okay, I've seen a few questions fly by about seed starting in regards to these large peat pellets. Where do you get them? Okay, I've seen them actually a few times at Home Depot. They usually come in a little kit at Home Depot. If you want to buy them loose like this, I get mine on Amazon, and I'll have a link in the video description on where you can pick them up, but they really are handy for the larger sized vegetables. They're about 3 inches high, 3 inches tall, and the reason I like them is because you can grow them in the larger size, or tomatoes and peppers, as opposed to the smaller size for about 4 to 6 weeks. So it avoids the extra step of transplanting them into a larger container such as this one before it warms up outside. So check the Amazon link that I'll put in the video description. And guys, anytime I have any supplies in my video, I really want to make it easy for you guys to use those supplies, because they're supplies I've used over and over again that really work. I've tested them in my garden. So always check the video description, because I always put links in the video description, and they're usually Amazon links. Anything you purchase through those links really helps CameraGuy and I out and supports us here on our channel. Doesn't cost you any extra money, and we really appreciate all your support through Amazon, our Amazon links, through our like the Good Dirt, the Smart Pots links, or through our seed collections on our website. So I really appreciate you guys. This is my full-time job, so anything you can do to help us out is greatly appreciated. Okay, let's see here. Question from Luz about transplanting. When do I put tomatoes and peppers into larger cups or pots? Okay, Luz, great question. First of all, you want to make sure that depending on how long you are from your frost date, if they're in a larger size pellet like this, you may be okay. If it's going to be getting warmer out soon, you can start hardening these off and they'll be ready to plant in the garden. But if you're still a ways away, you want to put them out or you want to transplant them. A couple different signs you can look for. So you can look and see if there's a lot of roots coming through the bottom. That means they're outgrowing the current container that they're in, and they really do need transplanted in order to have a little bit of breathing space. So if you've got a lot of roots coming out, transplant them. This one obviously doesn't have roots coming out, but in the containers here, what I like to do is kind of tip them upside down and pull pull the plant out. And if the roots are starting to kind of wrap around a little bit, then that's also a sign that they need to be transplanted. So just kind of keep an eye on it. Or if your seedlings are starting to look a little bit yellow, that means they're not getting enough nutrients. So definitely what I would recommend though, as soon as they start to get their true set of leaves, is give them a good dose of fertilizer. So they're going to need to have a little bit of extra nutrients to keep going. So you can use the Good Dirt plant food at good-dirt.com. CaliKim 10 is the discount code on that, or the Vermistera worm castings are amazing. or a combination of both at vermistera.com and use my code CaliKim for a 10% discount. So let's see here if we have any more questions in the chat. And we do have a few more questions I wanted to get to, but let's see here in the chat. When exactly do you sow Creole red onion seeds? Okay, this is from Zenith. Thank you, Zenith. The Creole red onions, that's a really pretty red onion, if my memory serves me correctly. I grew them a couple of years ago. And onion seeds are great to start as early as possible because you can grow them for about 10 to 12 weeks in little pellets or in little cups like this. And you can get them outside in your garden around your last frost dates. You can start really early on those because they do, there are bulbing onions. They're going to take some time to form, and then you can get them planted out in your garden as soon as your last frost date hits. Now, if you want a super easy onion to grow these bunching onions. These are the evergreen bunching onions. These are from the salsa seed collection. They're kind of like little green onions, and they're so much fun to grow because they grow really fast. You can see here, these are just 2 weeks old. And the cool thing is you can kind of trim off the tops here to help them, kind of grow a little bit longer in the pellets. And you can use the tops here to flavor your salad, your scrambled eggs, or whatever. So they're super fast growing, really easy to grow if you don't have the time or don't want to grow the bulbing onions. Okay, I had a question here. Okay, where can you find the wall saddle planters? Right behind me. Those are on smartpots.com. So check out that if you're interested in those. And let me see back here in my list of questions that I wanted to answer from the video. Oh, here's one. Okay, I had a lot of comments on the video, guys. Here's one from Amy Lucas. Did you mean leave the light on for 18 hours a day and off for 6 hours a day? Okay, I actually said in the video about grow lights, 16 hours a day on and 6 hours a day off. So yes, that does not add up to 24 hours. That's only, 22 hours. So yes, I meant to say 18 hours on and 6 hours off. So when we film these videos, guys, there's so much information. I'm trying to communicate so many different details. And believe me, it's harder than it looks. So yes, I didn't do so well with my mouth on camera. I apologize for that. You can, yes, leave your grow lights on 18 hours a day and then 6 hours a day off, especially when they're little seedlings because they need more light. You don't have to leave your light on immediately when you plant your seeds. You can wait a couple of days if you want to, but the key is you want your seedlings to be hit with light the minute that they germinate. They need that really bright, intense light because you don't want them getting leggy. Okay, guys, so make sure you keep them under your light for 18 hours a day on, 6 hours a day off. I really recommend a timer. And then as they get a little bit larger, you can cut back if you want to. You don't have to. I pretty much leave mine on 18/6. Is that right? Yeah, 18/6 all the time. But you can definitely turn them off at like 12 or 14 or 16 hours. Just kind of experiment and see what works best for you. It's all about having fun and experimenting along the way. Okay. And go back to and check out the grow light video, 3 easy setups if you're a little bit nervous about getting grow light set up, because they're really not as hard as you think. And it really is important that your seedlings have good light. It just doesn't really work too well in a windowsill when you're growing a big batch of seedlings there. Okay, let's see here. Sumu. Question. Hi, Kim. Please help me to grow my vegetables and fruits big size in a container as they are really small in size. Okay. Sumu. What I would suggest doing if you're growing in a container is, first of all, you need to choose the right size container for the right vegetable. If you're growing a large size tomato, you really need a 15 or 20 gallon container, or your tomatoes are just not going to be productive. And I have a whole video series on growing large vegetables in containers, so make sure you go back and check that out for all the details. Your container also needs a really good high quality potting mix. I like to use the Good Dirt potting mix. It's an excellent potting mix. A lot of Target stores are carrying Good Dirt now, or you can purchase it at good-dirt.com and use my code, of course, CaliKim10 for a 10% discount. But it does need fertilized more often and watered more often in containers because everything drains out. And they just really need that boost of food about once a week to grow your vegetables to full size. So make sure you check out that video series. It should help you get your vegetables up to full size. In fact, I did have a question on the video about Good Dirt. I use the indoor potting mix to pot up my plants from the weekend video. You can also use, the question was, let me read the question first, was from, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to write down who the question was from. The question was, though, I purchased Good Dirt from my local Target a few weeks ago, but it's Good Dirt outdoor potting soil with the same design on the bag as the indoor formula you show in your video. Do you know if it's very different from the indoor formula? Okay, the outdoor potting mix and indoor potting mix are a little bit different, but they can be interchanged. The indoor potting mix is just a little bit more lighter, fluffier. It's especially designed for growing plants indoors. So I totally recommend that for starting seeds, but you can also use the outdoor potting mix. I've used that for starting seeds as well, and definitely use it for all of your outdoor containers like this one right here. So give that a try, and do check out your local Target for that indoor supplies because they are absolutely wonderful. Okay, couple more questions here in the chat. Let's see, I was wondering the same. Okay, good. I'm glad that we took care of that one, answered that one. I can't find any Good Dirt at my Target from Everett. I know that they are going to be coming into more Target stores in the future. So keep on checking back at your local Target, and hopefully it'll be carried in your local Target very soon. But do check out their website because you can get a discount there with my code, and that'll really help you get that going because their products are absolutely amazing. Okay. And oh yes, Bonnie, good point. A lot of Targets don't have any gardening supplies until March. So hang in there, and hopefully they'll have it in your Target store very soon. Okay, James Lewis, how long can you have peas in a styrofoam cup? Okay, James, those peas grow so fast. So I'm expecting these to be ready to plant outside in about 2 to 3 weeks. So if you can, time your seed starting of peas about 2 to 3 weeks from the time that you're going to plant them outside. So if you're approaching your frost date, maybe in about a month or so, go ahead and get your peas started and then start hardening them off a week or so before your frost date, and you can actually get them planted outside as long as your soil is thawed out and you know, workable. You can get them planted outside a week or so before your frost date because they're going to take a frost just fine. We actually had a frost here last week, guys. First frost we've had in 2 years. My tomato plants aren't looking so good, but my pea plants came through it with absolutely flying colors. So they are amazing. Okay, Outdoor A, thanks for joining us today. What are some more garden channels that you recommend? Okay, great question. There are a lot of wonderful garden channels out there on YouTube, so make sure you check them all out. Of course, Gary from the Rusted Garden and I do a lot together on gardening, so make sure you check out his channel. Another channel that I've been watching a lot of lately, I know a lot of you guys have been too, is Roots and Refuge Farm. So in fact, super exciting, they just hit 100,000 subscribers yesterday. So they have a homestead farm in Arkansas, I believe, and are gardening out there with their kids. Jess is the name of the gardener, and then her husband is Jeremiah, and they're doing a wonderful job growing super fast. They have chickens, they have all kinds of animals, a wonderful, beautiful garden. So make sure you check out their channel as well, support them. I think they're a fairly new garden channel, but have grown super, super quickly. So make sure that you check them out as well. Okay, Yoda Girly, is there a reason my comments aren't being answered? I just typed it a 3rd time and it didn't go. There's no reason, it's nothing personal, believe me. If you guys were on this end of the camera, you'd see the chat flies by. And as I'm talking and giving information, it's really hard to pay attention to the chat and answer questions at the same time. So it's nothing personal. So if you want to pop your question in the chat again, I'll try and answer it. If you do have a specific question that I can't get to, here on the live stream, please email me at CaliKim@CaliKimGardenandHome.com, and I'll be happy to answer questions in an email and get to those emails as soon as I can as well. So it does move very fast. It's really hard to keep up with. Okay, and yes, I did want to also mention Laura at Garden Answer. She lives up in Oregon, and she does some wonderful videos as well. A lot of more ornamental stuff, but she does have a vegetable garden and does some great videos on vegetable gardening as well. So check her out. She has a gorgeous garden, gorgeous property, succulents, ornamentals, vegetables, all kinds of beautiful flower arrangements, and really, really pretty. So thank you for checking out those channels. Okay, Irene, can I plant peas outside right now? Okay, depends on where you live, Irene. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember. I'm sure you've told me a million times, but I can't remember exactly where you live. In California, in southern climates, yes, absolutely. You can plant peas outside. They do take a frost. They do beautifully. They're one of the earliest vegetables you can plant because they love the cold weather. So if you're in the deep freeze, like up in Canada, and you're getting freezing temperatures every single night, like really hard freezes, you probably want to wait until things get closer to your last frost date. But in southern climates, you can grow them all winter long, even if you get a frost. Okay, question about lettuce seedlings. If my lettuce seedlings, and this is from Tara Hud 1024. Okay. If my lettuce seedlings are leggy, should I start over or just transplant deep? And my question to that is both. I always like to have backups going. You guys know that. But if your seedlings do get leggy, a lot of times lettuce seedlings do get leggy because it's maybe just a little bit too warm in your house. They like temperatures of, I don't know, say 40 to 75 degrees. And a lot of times they're kind of stretching for the light just because of the heat. Or they're not really stretching for the light, but they just get leggy because of the heat. So plant some in peat pellets, which is a great way to get them started, or just plant them deeply in the soil or container, wherever you're planting them outside. And they're gonna leaf out and do just fine as long as you're growing them in the correct temperatures. Okay, I just saw something fly by here. I love some purple pots with the CaliKim logo. All right, strangely enough that you asked that, Alexia, coming to my website probably by the end of the month. Little sneak peek here, guys. I am gonna have some purple mini raised beds. Really small mini raised beds with my logo and Smart Pots logo. They're gonna be absolutely beautiful. I'm super excited about it. And another little sneak peek, we're gonna be launching those along with the kids seed collection, hopefully towards the end of the month. We're hard at work working with Smart Pots and getting that all put together. So definitely stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, get yourself some spring garden seed starting guides. Again, head to my website. I would really love to be able to grow with you and grow the same vegetables I'm growing. There's a couple of varieties of tomatoes in here, peppers, cucumbers, lettuce, trying to think what else, some basil, some peas, everything you need to start your spring garden. So please head over to my website, CaliKimGardenandHome.com. Check out, I have 18 seed collections, so I'm sure anything you want to grow will be over there on my website, and I'd love to grow along with you. So let's take a couple more questions, guys, and then we're gonna sign off for today. Love the grow bags, Dan, Organic Food Forest, that's great. Question, I'm going to be using, this is from Bunny Dust, I'm going to be using the larger peat pots. Should I use boiling water first to hydrate them so it kills any fungus eggs? Absolutely. If you want to do that, that's fine. I don't typically do that, but I know that's a great idea, and that certainly can't hurt. So hydrate them with boiling water, kill those fungus gnat eggs, and then let them cool down just a little bit before you plant your seeds. So great idea. Okay, Marquette Meadows Garden Channel. I love the other channels you've mentioned. Also, Living Traditions and Luma Acres are great to watch. Thank you so much. I have not watched those channels before, and I will definitely check them out. Okay, Ephraim, how do you start marigold seeds? You start marigold seeds just the way you would start any other seeds. They are so easy to grow. You can start them in these little pots here with soil, or I've done them a ton of times in the peat pellets, and they grow absolutely beautifully. So marigolds are a great companion plant, a nice warm weather flower, and a nice pop of color to your garden. So let me see if there's any more questions here. When's the beefsteak tomato contest? This is from Rod. Between you and Gary going to start. Okay. Hoping to start that. Oh, we've just been so busy getting all of our spring garden stuff going. And I know Gary, if you guys watching his channel, he moved to a new little farm and he's in the middle of getting all of his things set up for his new gardening season. So I'm hoping maybe we can start in April and then have all you guys join along with us and maybe have the big harvest date for later in the summer. So Gary and I have been talking about it, but we haven't set a date. So definitely stay tuned for that. Okay, let's see if we can answer one more question here. Okay, he's probably buried in the snow. Yeah, I think he is. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you, Northeast Gardener. Happy President's Day. We'll be live streaming again in a couple of weeks. All right, here's another one from Yogurt Girly. Can you grow full-size plants from sprouting seeds, or are they only for sprouts? Okay, yes, you can grow full-size plants for sprouting seeds. You want to plant them differently than you would for sprouts. Obviously, for sprouts, you're gonna, just very heavy, or sprouts in a jar, you're just gonna grow them in water. For microgreens, you grow them in a pot and heavily seed them. And if you're growing them for the full-size plants, you're gonna start them in something like this or in your cups with soil. So just experiment. Plenty of videos out there on my channel that show you exactly how to get your seeds started. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for me today. I've got to jump off now, but make sure you're getting your spring garden started, and hopefully this helped answer some of your questions about seed starting. We'll have plenty more videos to come, and make sure you follow us on Instagram at CaliKim29, and also follow CameraGuy at CaliKimCameraGuy. He's been posting a lot of behind the scenes photos and does absolutely beautifully filming our videos. So I'm really, really thankful to have him, not only for my husband, of course, because he's a great man, but also as my camera guy. All right, guys, talk to you later. Have a great week, and we'll see you